In this paper, we present a postgraduate thesis model for research through design based on design criteria. Research through design is a term often used to justify the practice of design within research environments, particularly in academia and for postgraduate design researchers. While designing produces new knowledge evidenced by and embedded on the new designs produced, it is also subjective and based on tacit knowledge, and an essential requirement of research is to engage in a systematic way of inquiry that creates explicit knowledge. Through 3 case studies, we suggest a thesis model for postgraduate design researchers in which designers construct sets of criteria at different stages of the research and design process. We suggest that it is possible to engage in creative practice through a systematic way that produces explicit knowledge and does not compromise freedom of expression. We suggest this approach in fact enhances the creative process. The different stages at which the criteria are used also form the basis for the thesis structure. For example, in this master's project, Fox-Derwin found that the literature and design precedents had addressed visual tactile incongruity, meaning that an object looks different to what it feels like, but that design precedents using this incongruity often did it in a superficial and non-functional way. She said the criteria that her design should elicit visual tactile incongruity and offer a secondary benefit. Through literally hundreds of experiments, she investigated how a secondary benefit can be extracted from this incongruity. Her experiments helped her define a final set of criteria for her final designs. The designs should elicit visual tactile incongruity, and the incongruity itself should offer a secondary and beneficial function that involves satisfaction. One of her final designs uses the soft-looking aesthetics she investigated in a hard ceramic cup in which the form that suggests softness serves as a teabag strainer, emphasizing the incongruity in the design. Other projects have used this approach and resulted in devices to help families develop empathy towards their loved ones who have schizophrenia. Results include a wearable device that plays voices similar to what people with schizophrenia hear and reacts to the environment. Another project used the criteria model to investigate how to produce individualized garments through parametric modeling. This involved experiments with 3D scanning and resulted in 3D scanning people's feet to produce individualized shoes. The shoes are 3D printed to highlight the individual preferences and body shape of users. So, the chapters include an introduction in which the student describes what will be talked about and the criteria model is introduced. The motivation in identify biases, and the initial criteria is based on what designers want to express from a personal perspective. In the background, the second set of criteria is based on the findings from the literature and design reviews. It expresses what needs to be designed and how can it improve from the status quo. Initial design experiments are many broad concepts and experiments to test the initial criteria, and they result in a third set of criteria based on the findings from the experiments to inform the final design. The final design tries to address all of the criteria and then is assessed with the final criteria to assess if it fulfills or not the criteria. This is described in the discussion section, and in the conclusion, the criteria is expressed, making the new knowledge produced explicit, as it tells unambiguously what the contribution to knowledge is. In conclusion, this paper proposes a model for design researchers who engage in design practice and systematic research. It can be particularly useful for postgraduate students creating a design and writing a thesis that reflects a systematic process and produces explicit knowledge. The model we propose is based on constructing sets of criteria at different stages of the project. The criteria are then used to make design decisions, assess the resulting designs, and report on the project. This helps design researchers satisfy 2 requirements for carrying out research through their practice: engaging in a systematic form of inquiry and making the produced knowledge explicit. Thank you.